Hey guys, welcome to Muskie Road Rules Podcast, episode number 228. Guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend. Thanks for hanging in there with us all through the sports shows this year. I've had a lot of guys come up to the booth and say they listened to the podcast. Most of them pretty positive. Every once in a while I get yelled at, but I think that's the way it should be. So we're having a heck of a time and doing a lot of good stuff and yeah, talking to a lot of great people every week here on the podcast. Now, for you guys that listened last week, I was up in the northwest angle. It was 20 below zero, and yeah, it wasn't that much fun because when I walked into the cabin, I heard all that noise of beautiful water hitting the floor. And my 4 days, 2 days of putting down new floor and taking a couple days to relax was called short, and turned into 4 days of 14-hour days of redoing floors in the entire cabin, from water damage to new toilets to new shower to, yeah, that one really sucked. But the good news is when I got home after we did our Road Rules events in Minneapolis last weekend, when I got home to Kentucky, one of the cabins I have here, I walked in the front yard, and I found a giant sinkhole. And I thought, well, that wasn't there when I left. And the good news is that the sewer fell in, and we had to replace the entire septic tank. So that's my last 2 weeks have been a lot of fun. And, yeah, so I'm sure if anyone has any septic tank experience on here, please text us at our Lunge and Lures text line. You can always.
I hope that's no indication how my opening is going to go this year.
It's really fun. It's really fun. I know
Isn't
more.
it fun?
I know more about dumb shit than I care to even think of. Yeah, it's always good stuff. But guys, text us on our text line, Lunge and Lures text line 606-776-6570. Let Tony know how you're feeling. Tony's not going to be on here tonight, but he is going to be at Muskie Max this weekend along with myself. It's going to be fun. March 4th and 5th this weekend. It's going to be at the Printscape Arena right there in Cannonsburg, PA. I'm going to be there, and a lot of guys are going to be there, including the two guys that I've got on the line right now. We've got Scott Seiler. Did I say that right, Scott?
You sure did.
Scott Seiler from Lunge Lodge up there on the French River. And we got Brian Clark, who's going to be there. Brian, what booth are you going to be working this weekend?
Just my own guide service and my own lures. Not doing any lunge and lures this year or Lake X's, so I'll actually be able to relax a little bit on setup and breakdown day and enjoy the show for myself.
That'll be all right. Brian Clark there from Captain Chaos Guide Service. But guys, let's talk here a little bit. What, how's things been this winter? I mean, has anybody now, Scott, we'll start with you. Where, I know you own the lodge up there. Now, you don't live in Canada full time, right?
I do not. I reside in Ohio, Medina, Ohio.
Okay. So what?
I'm from ice out to just about ice up. So usually the week of May till about I get home just in time for Thanksgiving usually.
Okay. So you're on the French River. Now, for guys that don't know, give us a little bit of an idea of, where the French actually is and kind of where your place is.
Yes, sir. I am on the upper French River, which is pretty much Lake Nipissing. If you're anybody knows anything about Ontario, Canada, everybody knows where Lake Nipissing is. Now, my lodge is located on pretty much on Lake Nipissing level. When people hear the upper French River, it's commonly mistaken for you're fishing a river. It's not. You're not really fishing a river. You're at the lake level. You're above the dams. There's also the middle French River, the lower French River, which then dumps into the Georgian Bay, which is, from where I'm standing, about 9 hours from northeast Ohio. 5.5 hours from the border at Buffalo.
Okay.
Straight up.
All right. Well, now let me ask you this, Scott. How did how did this all happen for you? How did you get into lodge business? How did you get into muskie fishing? How did this whole thing happen?
It's a good question, Greg. It's good. It's a good story, actually. So I'm from Northeast Ohio. Grew up bass fishing, steelhead fishing in the local rivers, tributaries out of Lake Erie. A high school buddy of mine was getting married, and I was in his wedding. Right, he was getting married, and part of his bachelor party, he wanted to go on a fishing trip. So we went to the Cleveland IX Center, the Great American Outdoor Hunting and Fishing Show, which used to be a great big show here in Cleveland, which no longer is a go anymore. But anyway, we walked up and down the aisles and actually found another lodge on the river called Casablanca Lodge. And in '99, I went to the Upper French River to Casablanca Lodge, and that's where it all started. I was a guest there for about 8 years, and then Brian, long story short, Alzheimer's, health issues, place went abandoned for a few years. He ended up passing away. The place sat abandoned for about 5 years. And which took me, because I love the area so much, I contacted this other lodge on the same body of water named Lunge Lodge. And when I called and contacted this lodge, the gentleman that answered the phone, I introduced myself. I said, my name's Scott Seiler. I used to be a member at Casablanca Lodge, and I'm looking to come back up to the French River. And the gentleman on the phone goes, I'm sorry, what'd you say your name was? And I said, my name's Scott Seiler. He goes, you got a brother named Tony? And now I'm in Ohio, and I'm calling Canada. And I look at my phone, and I'm like, what? And I go, yeah, why? He goes, I went to school with your brother. And I said, what? I go, who are you? He says, Michael Petrie. And I says, Michael Petrie, you got a brother named Steven, don't you? He goes, yep. And I said, I went to school with your brother. Lo and behold, we're from the same exact little hometown here, Olmsted Falls, Ohio. Anyway, I went to Lunge Lodge, and then I was a guest there for many years. And then in 2016, I'm a union carpenter out of Cleveland. In 2016, I took a willing layoff, full season layoff, and went and worked full time at Lunge Lodge the season of 2016. Returned 2017, and the off season of 2017, the gentleman put it up for sale, which, small world, lives right here in Medina, Ohio, as well as I do. But we met there at the lodge. Anyway, Tiffany and I purchased the lodge. The off season of 17 and 2018 was our first year as owners. So we're now going into our 6th season as owners.
Nice. So how, the lodge business is notoriously known as easy, usually no problems, and just a breeze. Is that right?
You know as well as I do, buddy. It's a labor of love, buddy. Like you're saying, I'm a jack of all trades, master of not a damn thing. You know.
Oh yeah.
You got a little bit of a plumber, an electrician, septic guy, roofing guy, lawn maintenance, boat mechanic, freaking first aid. You name it, buddy, and a host, and you got to keep the smile on and keep everybody fishing and try to show everybody a spot. Everybody wants a spot. Everybody wants the 50-incher, right?
Oh, yeah.
Shoot.
Well, they're easy to catch. You just watch TV, and they catch them all the time.
Oh, yeah, right? Just watch Jim Sarek and I and John Cowan, in 30 minutes, we caught 3 fish, no problem.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
It's not like that. We all know that. We all know it's punishing. So.
It's absolutely no. I agree. I know a lot of lodge guys, and I've done. I don't have a lodge per se, but I've got rentals and VRBOs and stuff like that, and I know how it works, man. I just you got to be able to do a lot of it yourself, or you'll not be able to make it. Now, me setting a septic tank, that was something I did not do myself because I do not know what I'm doing there, and I don't think anybody wants shit flowing the wrong way. And I think that's exactly what would happen if I did that. So I don't think I'm quite the septic guy, but yeah. So tell me, with your all's lodge up there, how? And I'm sure it was terrible, but how did COVID affect you guys?
Buddy, it's been a grind. Like I said, we bought the first year was 2018.
Sure. So
in 2018 was the Perry Sound fires. The town of Perry Sound, which is a nearby town of near our lodge, was on fire almost all summer. Actually started by an American company. They were blasting in the bush, putting in a windmill farm. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the first year we owned this place, there was nearby fire burning all summer long. Smoke in the air, you could taste it some days, burning your eyes. We were never really in imminent danger of like burning down, but there was always that back of the mind, in the back of your mind, like what the heck's going on? They closed the highway a few days. You know, that was the year we filmed with the Muskies television with Jim Sterick and John Cowan in August. Anyway, that was our first year. The second year, 2019, was a 50-year flood. I showed up there in May. There's no road access to this lodge. Everything's boated in. Everything there is handled 5 times before it's used.
Sure.
Anyway, I came around the corner in May of 2019, and my docks were underwater. My docks were underwater. It was a 50-year flood. The water came up and did not stop coming up till almost July. People were floating their dock. You had to show up with rubber boots. People were floating their boats over top of my docks and beaching them in the yard to park.
Oh yeah, that's the way it was on Lake of the Woods this year.
And then 2020 and 2021's been COVID. So we've had 4 years of nothing but like hardship stuff, right? Like our first year was pretty normal outside of the fires and was a good year, but the floods, we lost a month and a half of revenue due to that. And, you only got 5 months to gain 12, it's been a shit show, but this year, sorry about my language, but this year
we encourage it.
All restrictions are lifted, right? Mm-hmm. You don't need anything but a passport and to be a good citizen of the United States to get into Canada and to come fishing now. Yep. Now, mind you, prior to COVID, my occupancy was 70%, maybe a little bit more, of American guests.
Sure.
So 2020, there was tumbleweeds. It sucked for business. Mm-hmm. We struggled, right? But the Canadians, the good thing about that, the Canadians were also stuck within their borders. So those guys that used to travel over to Eagle and Lake of the Woods, they couldn't, so they stayed right at home. I gained a lot of guests there. But my American guests, buddy, that's a good portion of the money, the American dollar, right? The American dollar. And that's just how Lunge Lodge is always promoted. They've never really promoted to the Canadian people because the Americans wanted to come. New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio. That's right in range. Kentucky. That's right in range of. It's not too far to get there. It's not out of the question. But yeah, buddy, it's been a struggle. This year, our bookings are up. People are coming. I'm sure you've noticed at our shows. People are ready to go. They're ready to go fishing. I mean, you don't have a international border to worry about, but people. Normalcy is here. We're back to whatever normal is. It's here, and we gotta take it.
That's what I've noticed. I bought a place, a cabin up in the northwest angle, of Lake of the Woods, which you have to actually drive through Manitoba for about an hour to get to it. So yeah, I mean it's bookings are really good, and it's very easy. I was there last week. I crossed the border 3 or 4 times last week, mainly to go buy flooring because of the water and a toilet. What I really love is at midnight on like a Wednesday night, I'm like, okay, the flooring's in. All we got to do is reset this toilet, and we're good to go. Well, I learned that was then at midnight is when I learned the toilet was cracked. So that was get up the next morning, drive the hour and a half to 25 miles of gravel, then another 30 miles of tar to Ace Hardware, buy a toilet, come back, reset. It was
buddy.
It was good stuff, and it was really warm too. I think the high for the week it got to 1 last week in the Northwest Angle. Most nights were 22, 23 below. So it was
buddy, it was 60 today in Ohio.
Oh, it's beautiful here today. It was 82 in Kentucky today.
Come on.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah, we had 82 in the truck this afternoon. I went to the boat shed because I start fishing next week in Kentucky, and I'm like, I got to get the boat ready. So that's was today and tomorrow's job, but yeah. So no, I mean I totally get it, bud, and I understand it all, and I know the feeling. So it definitely does suck. But before we get to here, Brian, I got to do a little ad here quick for B&N Custom. B&N Custom Baits, guys. You're going to see these guys out in PA. They've been a long-time Road Rule sponsor. And I'm telling you what, for wooden crankbaits, they do a hell of a job. They've got the Slasher series. They've got the Talon series, the Deep Threats, the Big Titans. These guys have got the Claws, the Fat Shads. It's unbelievable. They have a ton of different colors, all hand-painted. You'll see them at the show. They're high-quality crankbaits with custom paint jobs. Make sure you check them out. If you can't make it to the show, go to BN Custom, B as in boy, N as in Nancy, custom.com. Now, Brian, what's been happening with you up there?
Not a whole lot, really. Been making baits, doing the shows, and actually we have our little baby on our way, so been remodeling the whole house, doing a lot of bedroom work and moving this, that, and what have you. And, yeah, unfortunately, been staying out of trouble and actually not on the water at all. So,
well, I get it. Have you guys been having the warmth too?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. Normally, I get out ice fishing about 10, 12 days a year, and we haven't even had any ice that was safe whatsoever. So, yeah.
Where do you live?
And actually nice not having to shovel snow. I live right in the Lake Erie snow belt, and our town averages, 150 inches a year. This year, I would say we're probably under 50. So it's been a nice, pleasant surprise, and got to thank global warming for that, right?
Where exactly do you live?
Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, just south of Erie.
Right on.
Well, I tell you, the one thing that was crazy is up in the Angle last week, they did not have a lot of snow. I mean, it's just cold up there. I mean, they've got maybe a couple of feet, but that's really not that much. And, I mean, Minneapolis has just been getting killed. They got, last week, I think they had 12 to 18 inches, depending on where you were in the cities, and it's been getting snow like crazy. But the Angle, all it is cold, and it will freeze your pipes. I learned that, and it's just one of those deals. But Brian, how's your season going to get started for you? I know you were telling me before we started recording that you got some low water on Pymatuming. What's going on with that?
Yes, basically same thing with our winter being so mild, lack of precipitation. It's all started last September, October, where on Pymatuming Reservoir there was maybe 1 or 2 launches I could even get my boat into. The lake's about 2 foot low, which for most people that doesn't sound like a big deal, but Pymatuming is such a large, shallow, gradual sloping shoreline kind of lake that 2 foot is a big deal for us. So I know there's plans to have a lot of those launches dredged out to make them accessible again, but who knows if they actually go through with it. So, yeah, I'm supposed to be starting up guiding here in about 2 weeks. Whether or not we can make it on Pymatuming, that's to be determined, but hopefully something happens. The bite there is getting better. More and more 50s are showing up each year, so
Now, Brian, what on that? Who's responsible for that dredging?
Oh God, I don't even know. Like I said, this was kind of all like hearsay and rumored and whatnot. It is a man-made reservoir, but it's not like any sort of flood control. So it was, I think, built just strictly for pleasure purposes. So I don't know why they would even want to mess with it or spend any money into dredging and whatnot. So again, I just heard this from another angler, and who knows if they're reliable or not. I hope they are.
They pay ramps?
Yeah. For the most part. Yeah, most of them are. I don't know. I mean, it's Fish and Boat Commission could chip in on it. It could be the Army Corps of Engineers. Who knows? Who knows if it's going to actually even happen? I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah. I mean, that's just part of it. I mean, you always hear, well, they said, well, it's, my granny used to say that. Well, they told, well, who's they?
Exactly.
And then, so I'm always wondering and stuff about that is who's the one that's actually paying to have it done. And, I mean, it's a crazy deal. You need to have that stuff. I mean, in Minnesota, we deal with that in the late fall. And, there it's just, put your waders on and start dragging. And
right.
That's how we launch the boats. But, it really is a crap deal when you've got to do that, especially, on the bigger lakes and stuff. But, I seen here at you're going to be doing a seminar at the show at the Muskie Max this weekend.
Yep, Saturday at 2:30. Going to be talking springtime muskie behaviors, fishing tactics for them in the springtime, and then also going to dig pretty deep into side imaging, basically talking settings, whether you're casting, trolling, and basically like interpreting your images as well. Deciphering, hey, that muskie's active, it's off the bottom, it's facing the boat, that looks like a carp to me, that looks like a stump, yada, yada, yada with the side imaging. Basically, I just see too many people when I hop on their boats. They have these sophisticated units and they are just wasting their money because their settings are way off and not getting the clearest, most crisp image they can. So that'll be 2:30 on Saturday. And then Sunday, the Pro Guide panel. I think you'll be on it too, right, Greg?
I think so. I don't know. I usually don't know until I get there. But probably be talking a little bit about, just taking questions when anybody wants to talk about. That's usually the best way to handle that and do it. And it should be a good deal. Now, I didn't make the Muskie Max last year because it was the same time as the Minnesota Muskie Expo, so I missed it last year. I'm hoping for it to be a good time. I'm sure it'll be a good event again this weekend and everything. How's the weather looking for it?
I have no clue. I haven't looked that far ahead, even though it's only 3 days, 4 days, whatever.
It's been going from spring to winter around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've been seeing here. I mean, we were summer today. But now we're supposed to be nice until Friday, and it's going to rain, and then it's going to drop back down, but not like crazy cold, but highs in the upper 40s, 50s, kind of normal. These upper 60s and 70s, and like I said, even low 80s like today. I mean, that's just it's way too early for that. And that's not gonna sustain. We know that. It's all part. That's just how it all works, and I'm not too worried about it. But hopefully, we get a good crowd and stuff this weekend. I'm sure we will at the event. What you see anything new that you've been looking at this year? Did you see anything this winter, Scott, that caught your eye as far as baits or anything?
Oh, buddy, I got enough baits. I'm on a no bait off season.
Yeah, I always tell myself that, but I usually fuck it up.
Yeah, but it never works, right?
Oh yeah.
So instead, at Ohio, I bought a bunch of Thorn Brother rods, and like that's doing me any good. But no, nothing's like I upgraded my electronics last year to some HDS lives, so I'm interested in the seminar he's about to put on? You're going to be talking Lawrence's?
Hummingbirds.
All right, well.
You know what? It's all the kind of same with the sensitivity, contrast, chart speed, all that good stuff.
Right on. I have been looking into like the live scope, maybe, possibly. I don't know. I'm not ready to make that jump, you know.
Do you have a ton of weeds where you?
I would use it probably primarily trolling. That's pretty much all I do. By the time I get a chance to get out, I'm so beat from the day. I just want to set a few baits back and sit and wait, right? So I was fortunate enough that a friend of mine got on board with me last season and brought actually a portable live scope, and we set it up and we were trolling. You can see your bait back there. You know exactly how deep it is. And I saw and I caught a fish. I saw it happen. Nice. It's pretty amazing when it happens. Like I said, I'm not ready to make that jump yet. It's a pretty big, as we all know, it's pretty pricey to get there, to get everything you need. But it was pretty cool to actually see it all happen. Like I literally watched it. We had it sitting between us in my boat, and I turned and went for my rod before my rod even clicked. Like it was pretty cool. So other than that, no, I'm not looking at any baits or anything. I just had, maybe, but probably not.
Well, let me ask you there, Scott, if somebody, you do a lot of trolling up there, what is the fishing like in your area, in that French River area? If somebody is wanting to plan a trip, can you go through kind of the season up there as far as what you see has been effective with your guest or yourself throughout a season?
Muskies can be caught all season long. Just as well as they could be caught in opener, they could be caught in late October, as we all know, in late November, but the lodge is closed then. But, man, it's not a numbers place, right? You're definitely not going to come here and catch 5 or 6 or 7 a day. It has happened. It does happen. And I want to get on your boat when it happens, right? But this is a place where the one is in there. It's in there, right? It's just like the Georgian Bay. Like the biggest muskies are going to come from, as we all know, in my opinion, the St. Lawrence or the Georgian Bay or Lake Nipissing, French River. That I know there's others, Lake Lasoul. There's so many others, buddy, but there's some pigs to be had on the French River, Lake Nipissing, but it's a grind. There are people that come and first day they're in the boat and things are good, but it's a grind. There's little patches of weeds here and there, not a whole lot of weeds. It's all rock. This is true Canadian shield, like just as well as you can catch them casting bucktails, you can catch them casting cadzillas, you can catch them trolling. Like, buddy, I troll. Like I said, I primarily troll. My casting days were long ago when I was a guest. When I had time, I primarily just put some quality baits there. I like my blue waters. I like my hose baits. I like my DKs. There's no secrets on that. But we don't push guides at Lunge Lodge. We're very helpful. Once you're there and you're standing in my lodge and we're looking at the map, I'm going to show you exactly where I caught my last fish, how I caught it, where I caught it, the conditions, why I think I caught it. Like, I'm there to help you. I want you to catch a big fish. I want you to leave here bragging, screaming Lunge Lodge at the top of your lungs. I want you to want to come back, right? There's no secrets. I don't push guides on people. I don't have a full-time guide. Maybe if I had a full-time guide, I would push him on. But I was taught on this body of water, kind of like self-taught myself as a guest and self-taught myself for many years. Like, for many years, I didn't catch much at all. I was a bass slash steelhead fisherman from Northeast Ohio going up there with big bass equipment thinking I'm going to catch a 50-inch muskie, right? Guys just shook their head at me, and, the muskie community is very tight-knit, and nobody would tell me anything because I didn't have the right gear. You know what I mean? I didn't deserve to be told because until I was stepping up my gear. But anyway, I got lost in the question, but we're definitely here to help you, right? This is the place where you're going to potentially get that fish of a lifetime, right? It's very possible. Watch The Muskie Hunter. Watch episode Lunge Lodge Lore with John Cowan and Jim Sarek. The first year I owned the place, I mean, the fish John Cowan caught is still, in my belief, is still the biggest fish I've come across on that river. It was poorly measured. Jim Sarek carries a candy cane stick. It's not a bump board, Mm-hmm. That thing was a beast. And I've caught a good handful like that since. Maybe not that big. I know not that big. But they're there. They're definitely there. And I'm there to help you. Between myself and my staff, Corey, and Tiffany even, my wife, Tiffany, I got the best deal. I got a girl that loves the musky fish, right? So we're there to help you. Believe me, once you're there, we hold no secrets, buddy. We want you to hook up. We want you to come back.
Sure. What that fish you're talking about, how big was it and how was it caught?
The one John Cowan caught, in my belief, was 54 inches or better. Really, John, when we caught it and John held it up, it was, I mean, you can see in the picture, I wish I had a picture to show you a post, but this thing was so big, and and John just like, let's measure it. And Jim just held up, I don't know, he carries that stick, right, with I remember it looking like a candy cane without the bend, just a straight stick, red and white, and each color change was an inch, right? And he held it up to it real quick while John was holding it, and it was shaped like an S. And he goes, "Yeah, it's over 50. Let's let her go." What a beauty! But that thing was a giant.
How big? What was that fish caught on?
Double tens. John Cowan kept double tens for 3 days.
Okay. That's a dandy of a fish. I know.
There's your black, all black.
Oh, there you go. Well, every color works as long as it's black.
That's right. Either white or black. People ask me, "What's your favorite two colors?" White and black, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. Honestly."
They've worked for years and years and years. Now, Brian, I know you've gotten some big fish early on Lake on Pymatuming up there. Let's talk about like early season when things get going up there. How are you going to be attacking these fish?
Well, it all depends on the weed growth. Typically late March is when I get started guiding, and I'll pretty much for the first week or two still stay down on the southern end of the lake nearest the dam, where muskies and the shad are pretty much kind of still in their wintering program. Mm-hmm. So they'll be in the deeper water, and as that water starts creeping up into the low 40s, then I'll start heading to the adjacent spawning grounds, looking for any weed growth. I hate trolling. I hate making my clients sit there and watch me troll all day. So once we start getting any sort of water temperature change, warm water tight to the shorelines, or we start getting weeds to emerge, then we'll start, casting our gliders, our rattle baits, our, small crankbaits, twitching them, stuff like that. So it will pretty much all depend on, how the water progresses, if we can even get there. But yeah, that's pretty much how I operate, as I start the season. Just kind of keep a close eye on the shorelines, the water temperature, and, the greenest, healthiest, thickest weeds, wherever I can find them. Typically the bayfish will be there, and then muskies will be quick to follow.
Now, is the ice off Pymatuming right now, or is it still got ice on it?
No ice at all. Wide open.
Okay. Now,
normally this time of year, this calendar date, there should be at least, 5-6 inches out there, and hundreds, if not thousands of guys beating up on the crappies, the walleyes, whatever, but no ice at all this year. Well, there was there for a couple weeks, but it's already all gone.
So is anybody muskie fishing out there now, or can they?
If they can get their boat in, they can. Actually, a couple of years ago, we had a similar winter, and we were out there. I just don't have the motivation anymore to go, without guiding. But there's fish there to be caught right now.
Sure.
And they're pretty easy to find. If you find any shad whatsoever in that lake, you're on them. Okay. And those shad are going to be, and 90% of the fish are going to be in 10% of the water this time of year. So once you find them, the muskies are there too with them.
Yeah. So you were talking about, Brian, how does your season work? Where do you fish at and kind of go through your season?
So Pennsylvania does not have a closed season. So as long as there's not ice, you can go out and target them. Well, you could even target them through the ice, but, so I'll fish Pima tuning basically until the spawn starts, until I start seeing muskies paired up and they become a little less active. They stop hitting baits. When that occurs, I'll jump around Erie County, Crawford County, all of northwest Pennsylvania, and I'll start hitting up other lakes that I know those fish haven't spawned yet. Typically are natural lakes that are a little deeper. Their spawn is about 2 weeks later than Pima tuning. So when the Pima tuning fish start shutting off, start spawning, I'll head elsewhere, hit up a couple rivers, a couple lakes, and then once I start seeing the spawn starting on those lakes, pretty much it's over and done with on Pima tuning. I'll head back there until June 1st this year when Chautauqua Lake opens. And I will fish Chautauqua from the opener all the way until Halloweenish, late October, early November, unless the bite's still hot up there. But typically that's when Pima tuning really gets firing again. And I don't know, sometimes I just need a little change of scenery. So I'm obviously going to take my clients to wherever the bite's hottest, but also it's nice to mix up a couple different lakes in throughout the season.
Sure. No, I totally get it. That's pretty awesome.
Just for sanity.
Yeah, I get it, man. I know all about keeping the sanity and stuff, but it seems like Chautauqua. Now, last year was Chautauqua. How was it?
If you like big fish, it was awesome.
Yeah.
If you like numbers, it was not the greatest. Combination of a couple things, but between me and a couple buddies of mine, Bond and Goldberg, I think we calculated between like 150 fish. We caught maybe 6 of them between 30 and 36 inches. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a dent in that younger population, but at the same time, we were averaging like a 44-incher last year, which Chautauqua's never really ever seen fish of that caliber. So it's nice. It's great if you're chasing big ones, but, it's a little iffy what the future holds there.
Sure. Hey, I get it. I know how that works. I've been on bodies of water like that, and a lot of it comes down to just management and stuff, and hopefully it'll get back because you need those little ones to have big ones later.
Exactly.
That's a big part of it.
Every 50-incher was exactly 30 inches at one point in its life, so you got to take care of them all, not bring them into the boat, let them flop on the carpet. We really got to start paying attention to how we treat those fish, especially on Chautauqua, where, numbers are getting a little lower. So avoid the heat, leave them in the water. So
sure.
A reminder out there.
I totally get it. But all right, guys, before we wrap it up here tonight, I got to do one more quick ad here, and it's going to be for Red October baits. Guys, you're going to see them here at the Pennsylvania Muskie Show at the Muskie Max this weekend, and I'm telling you, a bait that has been a solid part of my arsenal for probably over a decade, and I've been on their Facebook page, and that's the best way to find them. Go to Red October Baits on Facebook and check out some of these custom colors they got. I think Jeff Boggs is painting them for them. Just some absolute stunning custom painted tubes, and also just the dip colors that Mark is doing right now is pretty incredible. So make sure you check that out at Red October Baits on Facebook. Scott, what if somebody wants to get up there, how would they get a hold of you?
Well, you can go on my website at lungelodge.com. You can hit me up on Messenger, Scott M. Seiler, on Facebook, Instagram. I'm Lunge Lodge Fishing on Instagram. Pretty easy to get a hold of. I prefer, if you're going to do a booking request, to send it via email. Messenger, social media, it's easy to read it in the middle of the day and then forget about it by that evening, So
Sure.
If it's serious booking information or inquiries, send me an email at scott@lungelodgefishing.com. That's my email address, scott@lungelodgefishing.com.
All right. And Brian, how would somebody get a hold of you?
Should go up to the Muskie Max.
That's right. That's another way, right?
Go to the Muskie Max, March
you
4th and 5th. No, but my website's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. It's www.bigpamuskie.com.
All right. Well, the good deal. And just a couple things here, guys, with us as Muskie Hunter. Go to muskiehunter.com, click on the digital subscription. You can get it now, $29.95. That'll get you all the current issues and give you access to the archive, so you can actually look at every issue of Muskie Hunter magazine that's been published since 1989, all digitally on your computer, or your smartphone, or any digital devices. Also, make sure you check out, we're going to have some information up about our tournament on May 13th down here on Cave Run Lake, the Muskie Hunter Tournament, one-day tournament. Come on down. We're going to have information on that up as well. I hope to see everyone at the Muskie Max this weekend. It's going to be a good event, 4th and 5th there in Cannonsburg. Go to muskiemax.com to check it out. And, guys, thanks for coming on tonight, and I will see you this weekend.
Sounds good, bud. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks, Greg. We'll see you at the Muskie Max this weekend.
All right,
Stop by
guys.
and see me.
Take care.
Ciao.